with that 90s R&B.
Yeah, we're not gonna violate copyright laws though.
Nah, I didn't even get up to do my jump, my 1-2 step. I couldn't.
You was about to do your Drew Hills?
Yeah, like I was right there. I love Drew. Do you like Drew Hill?
I do.
How do you feel about the Drews of the Hills?
I feel like they're a good group, man. When I lived in Baltimore briefly, I lived right near Drew Hill.
Yeah.
Well, not the people, but the place that they were from, that they took their name from.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not gonna lie. I know this is hecka annoying. Hecka. For those that come back and watch, they're not live watching right now, but when they come back and see the videos and it takes all this time to start, you know.
It's real. It's gritty. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
We're out here making it do what it do.
All right. I found us.
Hey.
I found us. I still can't see us on Twitch, but I think I can see the chat. So if you're on Twitch, please join the chat.
Up to the chat.
I can see us over here on YouTube. Shout out to the YouTube family. Shout out to the Twitch family. Again, I just feel like I gotta keep apologizing to y'all because you know the disruption in the beginning, but it's authentic, it's real, and that's why we live. So you know, stay with us, rock with us. And for those that rock with us, shout out to y'all. I love you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we here and we back. We're gonna be here for a little bit, you know, for a good time, not a long time. You feel me?
Yeah, that part.
You know?
The language processing took a second. I'll get that.
I mean, that's not the phrase, but that's my phrase. For now.
Here for a good time, not a long time. That's the phrase, isn't it?
Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
It's the phrase. It is the phrase. So yeah, shout out to you. Shout out to y'all. I am abundantly grateful to be here in this space. We are at Eventim Studios in Medford. Shout out to Eventim Studios. Shout out to the team here. Shout out to Marcelo, that always gets us right, and welcomes us in the space, no matter how gritty it get, no matter how loud I am.
Gotta get right.
They love me regardless, and I love them, and it's reciprocal, and they've supported since day one. So big up to Eventim Studios. Tap in. They are a gallery space. They are a media hub. They are a environment for events and collective, whatever you need. We podcast here. They are building and developing. I have been with them, you know, since day one, since they opened. And, you know, I'm just extremely grateful. I love things that are not transactional, but I love building relationships with folks and continuing that longevity, and building in collective power, even when we, you know, work from two different pockets of the world. So shout out to everybody out there doing the work. You have found yourself somehow, some way, by God's will and glory, you have made it to the Phree Game podcast. So shout out to you. My name is Phree. I am here each and every Tuesday, whether you are on Twitch or live, whether we are in the studio or behind the scenes. But this here today is Friday, so happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Phree Game Friday.
You know what I'm saying? Phree Game Friday. I like that, Phree Game Friday. We might have to see about Fridays in the future. Maybe like Tuesday, Friday, or something in the future. But
also, you watching Phree Game live from the game room. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we was getting there. But first, before I get there, each and every pod pull up. We're going to call them pod pull-ups. Because I have a challenging time keeping to my schedule. Nah. But no. I'm right on time. So, you know, what is time? Right?
Time is when, God. Lounge.
I am on my timing. On our timing. Or the timing that is divine and supposed to be. So, thank you for taking this journey with us. And thank you, my man to my right, who podcast with me each and every time we pull up. Jonathan, or JG, my man, JG.
What it do?
Yeah. He doesn't get upset when I say Jonathan because
it's my name.
that's his name. But, you know, at the beginning of this journey that we took with each other, and I was like, okay, so what are we going to call you? Like, what do you want to call yourself? Like, how are we going to present you? And you came up with JG. So I be trying to stay on script with that, right?
That's fair.
But you might see him all over the social media webs and events and ads and tied in with the City Winery and Pure Soul and D7, District 7 out in Roxbury.
The berry.
You know what I'm
Not
saying? Bandon out here. And so you see his name is Jonathan Gramlin. So shout out to you. And if you don't know it, that's his name. So Google it.
Speaking of City Winery, what are you doing on May 14th?
Something with you at the City Winery.
You should come to this 90s R&B show at the City Winery.
Ooh, you know 90s R&B is my bag, though.
I mean, I'm just saying.
That's my bag.
You can sing along, you know what I'm saying?
Sing along,
you can get up and do some
style.
drills, you know what I'm saying?
Druid, tell me what you want. Come on, help me, because you were singing it better than me earlier. And now I'm by my side. When the cameras is off, this man.
I don't want no problems.
Okay, yes, all right, sorry. So clip that.
Licensing.
Production. Clip it, production.
We'll fix it in post. You know what I'm saying? We'll fix it in post. Even though this is a live broadcast.
This is live, and even though I'm supposed to go back and download the video so that I can edit it and bring it right back to you, nah.
Nah, baby.
Nah, like
Not gonna be able to do it.
I think we chilling.
Yeah.
I think we chilling. But shout out to those. Shout out to all of y'all. It has been rough. It is a rough season. I feel like for me, this is personal at this point.
I feel like it's not just you, but please tell us.
And I agree, but I also didn't want to be the person to try to speak for everybody in the world, because there could be somebody watching this right now like, what is you talking about?
Well,
like,
if they're watching this, they're having a great time.
If you're watching the Free Game Podcast, you are right at home. Have a seat, roll up, smoke, drink some water, hydrate yourself.
Drink some water, yes.
Facts. You know what I'm saying? Get you some coffee, some tea.
I had some.
You know, get you comfortable. I love coffee. I could drink coffee at 10 o'clock at night and I will be great. I could go right to sleep. People be like, you drink way too much coffee. You already hyperactive and you want to drink. I say, man, do you want to see me without coffee?
I mean, you should do whatever you got to do to feel like you. You know what I'm saying?
Anyways, move right along. So, again, like I said, we're not here for a long time, but a good time we are indeed. And we got a few things on the whiteboard that we need to discuss. So, I'm going to try to stay to it, real structured and demure. Are people even using that word anymore? Demure? No? Okay.
It was trending for a while there.
Yeah. So, let's just get into it. Like, let's just put it right in. Just put it right out there. Let's just throw it out. This was yours, but I'm going to throw it out.
Go for it. What you got?
Clay and Meg.
Oh, boy.
You know why I didn't want to, you know why I'm doing that? I'm being, like that and throwing it back on you publicly on this broadcast.
Okay. All right.
Because I just have so much that I could say that I might have opinions about, that I could have opinions about.
Uh-huh.
One regarding the relationship, I suppose, and their dynamic and whatever. But also about Meg, and I just feel like you be trying to protect the airways from our cancellations.
What you mean? What you want to say about Meg? What you got?
I love Meg. Meg's an Aquarius.
She is. That's all you got to say?
Yeah.
You don't want to talk about the titanium knees?
Titanium.
They be talking about the aspiration to have Meg knees because she can dance, she can drop it, she can pop back up, all that. She got the knees. Say knees like Meg. That's
Did you see the meme that went out
Oh no.
of and it's really bad, and I'm not even laughing because I know there's a population of people out there that might not favor what I'm gonna say, and it is what it is. Welcome to the Free Game Podcast.
Facts.
So they put the meme out of all the faces of the celebrities in the industry that Meg has had relations with.
Okay.
First of all, that ain't cool. Why y'all do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Stop counting
What's the point?
people's bodies, bags, backstories, relationships. Like, y'all ain't right for that. Y'all wrong. The internet's wrong. Y'all all wrong. Period. Dot. But I mean, like, how do we talk about Clay and Meg without talking about Tory?
I mean,
Because there's been a lot of news about that dynamic too. But I'm interested because that's a whole other podcast. I feel like we could go through a whole podcast about the Tory and Meg. But Clay and Meg, what do we got for it?
So, I mean, apparently after a strong 8 months, which, okay, it came out that Clay cheated on Meg while she was on Broadway, and now they're on the outs. More so than the actual thing, which people get in relationships, cheating happens, particularly in this celebrity sphere. You know what I'm saying? Meg has been accused of cheating. Apparently, Clay has a history of doing this to his famous girlfriends. You know, these public relationships in this public sphere, they become fodder. They become discussion material. And it seems like this is just like leaning into the gender war thing. You know, like you have a lot of influencers, many of them women, saying, oh, see, this is what men do. Blah, blah. They talk about, you know, Meg was living out her dreams, and then here comes Clay to ruin it. And as if he timed it in some way to sabotage her, which is a thing. I don't know if that's the thing, like in this case. And then kind of making an implication that this is how men are causes a lot of men to react and be like, well, what about Meg's history? Or, you know, this meme that you're talking about, all the people in the industry that she's been with, or blah, blah. Then people are analyzing the relationship, analyzing the situation, this, that, the other, right? And I feel like, one, people's business should be their business. Two, when stuff comes into the public sphere, you have no control over what people are going to discuss or not discuss, what opinions they might form, what opinions they might choose to share, right? But also, I think that this gender war stuff is like, it's bad news, man. Like, particularly right now, you were talking about you having a tough time right now. I think a lot of people are having a tough time. And I think that in those times, just like we were talking about on Tuesday, community, togetherness, people being able to be there for each other and support each other becomes more important than ever. You know, it's interesting, you know, this whole Meg thing has sparked all this conversation. Some people have come back and said, well, we've seen a recent spate of unalivings by black men of themselves and their families, you know, and can we talk about that? Can we talk about mental health? Can we talk about, if this is a segue to talk about that more important stuff, I'm down for it. But I think that, I hope that we can talk about in a way of like, how do we address this together? Because I think there's no way to say that, oh, there's a mental health crisis among black men that is highlighted by recent events. And then if people's perspective is, oh, that's a problem that men need to fix. One, I don't think that that's possible. There's no way to separate men out of the society that they live in. And particularly if you're talking about men that are doing this to themselves and their families, that's a broader issue, right? Like, and maybe we can lean into some of those things. Maybe we can talk about some of those things. Maybe we can draw some people out who need help into the discussion. And keeping that in mind, that there are some people that are going to be in this discussion that need some help, that need some support. Maybe we can be a little bit gentle and a little understanding with each other and not be so quick to feed into this gender war. We're at each other. Where do we differ in opinion on this? And kind of how can we come together to fix this problem that's a problem for all of us?
I think that we fix it at the top of it with empathy and compassion for people and real life. Like, there's so many points that I want to hit with what you said, but at the top of it, before we have the conversation, we need to understand that these issues are not gender based.
Thank you.
They're not, more men are the ones that do this over. It's a people thing.
It's a human issue.
It's a human issue. It's a human conversation. And it's a human conversation that then gets into, relationship dynamics and how we view what partnerships look like, what relationships look like, feeling like we can show up as our authentic selves in those relationships, and the restrictions we put on each other in partnerships that make us feel like we cannot be free or fluid in the ways that we might feel, and isn't necessarily a wrong thing to feel like you want to have many partners or explore many. I think at the root of it is respect and respecting people's boundaries, and whatever partnership you join, forces with, or whatever you create in your own. Customize. I like the word customize, because relationships aren't cookie cutter. I think what needs to be part of your roots and your foundation is honesty, and then trust, in the ways that you communicate with each other, and are you being authentically yourself in that communication. And I know we're not perfect, and for me to say that's always easier because stuff happens. You meet people, one thing leads to another, and now, you're in it, and you're like, whoa, I made all these decisions, and how'd I get here? And like, when you reflect back, you start to pick at those things. Not to get off on a tangent, but in relation to this conversation, we have to understand at the grounds of things that it's not a man or woman thing. And then talk about how do we be our authentic selves in our own skin, in life in general, and then in interpersonal relationships. And then if you feel like you can't be yourself in an interpersonal relationship, then what does that look like to make decisions to not be in that interpersonal relationship? So there's so many layers, I feel, that come before talking about, well, he cheated, and do men cheat more than women, or women cheating more than men? I think before we get there, we have to lay the foundation of those 3 bullet points. I know there's several more, but I don't want to be long-winded, but those 3 for me are at the top, and then we can have a conversation. Other than that, if we're still at this gender war thing and you're still nitpicking at, is it a man thing, a woman thing? I feel like I can't even have a conversation with you.
It makes it impossible to have a conversation. And I think that that's by design, right? Because it drives engagement without ever getting to a solution, which means it can just continually bear the fruit of engagement, right? Like, it becomes this thing that drives even more engagement, because the more we talk about it, the further apart we get. And I don't think that's the point of discussing issues. I think the point of discussing issues is to get closer together. But now we treat interpersonal relationships the same way that we treat politics, right? And like, the way that we've treated politics, we see where that's gotten us, right? So if we can't discuss to hear the other person's perspective, if we can't discuss to take into account what they might be thinking, what they might be feeling, then what's the point of discussing at all?
Yeah. I like to, for myself, think of it when I engage in the world once I leave my house. It's like out of curiosity, right? Like everything that I'm presented with that day, be it a conversation, be it a stranger, an interaction with a stranger on the street or whatever, that's where I'm at. And I don't know, it's tough, because then we're talking about celebrities, we're talking about what you sign off on as a celebrity when you know that you're in the public, you have all these eyes on you. So at some point it is an assumed, responsibility that your life is going to be in the public eye. So there's a conversation around that too, where it's like, yo, mind your business, and also, well, the business is there to be watched,
Right. And celebrities benefit from people being in their business.
Right. And the media benefits, and money then comes, right? Because we're watching it. We're talking about it. I mean, look at us right now on the podcast.
Facts.
We're talking about it.
Exactly.
And that's really destructive to and inconsiderate to the celebrities that go through these things. Like, even my banter in the beginning about Meg and Tory, like, I talk about it because that was so front stream and media forward, and everybody had opinions and judgment calls. And like, what's jacked up is that what if Tory didn't do it?
Okay.
Because there's conversations and there's evidence or there's nuances that are coming up around the Tory case that could suggest that the best friend was not completely forward and honest about what happened, because that was the other party that was involved in this situation and could be a potential witness. There's been conversations that the best friend was the person that had the weapon to begin with, and then Tory intervened. There's witness testimony that were at a distance but saw the interaction or parts of the interaction that don't align with what the original accounts were. Then you get into the lying, where there's, 1 minute she said it was this, the next minute she said it was this. Then there's the silence of the best friend, and then you start to pick at the situation. It becomes a chopping block of, we become the judge and jury.
Yeah, trying to try stuff in the court of public opinion is always difficult. The one thing that I will say is what Tory Lanez is in prison for is not for shooting Meg. So he was on probation for a firearms charge, and he was found guilty of possessing a firearm while being on probation for a firearms charge.
No, I understand that, but it's still the court of opinion, of public opinion, because even though he technically didn't get locked up for the Meg thing, he still is being judged and being reprimanded publicly for that particular relationship and for that particular moment in time that most people believe happened. There's a bunch of people that don't, but like, we still you pick a side.
No, I do hear that, and people will pick their sides. I think that what happens to his career remains to be seen. I do think that, like, there is one of the initial tacks that people took was that Meg was never shot, which there's plenty of evidence that she was, medical evidence, physical evidence, et cetera, and like
that she had fragments in her foot,
and arguing
or scratches. Well, yeah,
arguing with the physical evidence just puts you kind of in a weird place, right? So then it devolved to, well, who shot her, right? Whose gun was it? This, that, the other. And we can debate and go back and forth on that all day, and to come to some understanding of what the facts are or what the truth is going to be really difficult for us to do from a distance, right? I think that with Tory, the way that he handled himself, he should have gotten better advice, because he did a lot of damage to his credibility with the folks who are now diehard. He absolutely did it by things that he did outside of the courtroom, in advance of the trial, the way that he behaved, the particular tack that he took to try to maybe defend himself in the court of public opinion, that has really taken hold with some people, but turned a lot of other people against him, right? And there certainly were people who, as soon as they heard the story, made their assumptions about what happened. And regardless of what evidence does or doesn't come out, they're going to stick with that conclusion and look for things that reinforce it or try to debunk the things that don't reinforce it. Between the two of them and whoever else was there, they definitely know what happened, right? I don't know if we're going to get a straight story or a straight answer out of any of them.
Right. And so I think that that's what is the thing, or why I brought it up in this conversation, is because to tie it back to your first point, or where you were saying black men or men are, being challenged with ideation, or actually, unaliving themselves and their families because of these pressures that, not are just from things like gender wars or like cheating or stuff like that, but just
in the air.
Yeah, right. It's not just women that are overly emotional and can't handle, certain pressures. Like, men
To say that
can,
to say that men aren't emotional is just
or
a misunderstanding.
or they're strong and they're not supposed to be able to feel or emote in a way that would be deemed like a woman, or or they'd be chastised because it's feminine for you to cry or have feelings around or be insecure, right? Like that's woman stuff. And even things like that, I think, applies the pressure on men to be like, yo, I'm out of here, dude. Or you can't be too feminine, right? You have to be hyper masculine in this world. Like if you're feminine, then you're, gay, or, like in a relationship. Some women, whatever. We're not gonna get into that. But to tie it back to the black men and the men conversation, I think so. Tory, for example, like when I say, well, what if he didn't do it? And I get that there's evidence that says there's bullet fragments in her foot. I get that. When the question comes, who, right, and you can't define who by way of, like, there's no concrete evidence like there was bullet fragments in her foot from a picture. The doctor said, here's the picture, we see it, we know it, it's a receipt. Where is the receipt that says who did it? And I know that that's a little challenging, but that's what we do, is we take who said what, he said what, whose account, what were you at, what state were you in, what happened there, who remembers what, you said this, you said that, and then we judge or we decide our own opinions and who did what in that scenario based on what we deem now as facts by what they're saying.
For sure.
Right. So I think in the Tory case, it's like, if he didn't actually, and there was some more substance to this conversation, and it wasn't just black and white where, well, he just came out and there was a confrontation and whatever, and he shot her and it was that. I think it's deeper than that. I think they're more played out, and everyone was under the influence of alcohol and drugs and a hell of a night. And so their accounts, or the way that they're, or the way that they've experienced that moment, there's two versions and the truth, they say, right? Or multiple versions and what actually happened in that moment. And I just feel like Tory was in jail and got his, got stabbed up. He got beat. He had an incident in prison where they tried to unalive him in prison, and like he's dealing with this. And I feel like when we talk about empathy and compassion, that's for all, and nobody is disposable. And yes, if he did shoot her, like, to me, it's, God or his own path or the power of his own manifestations will force him to pay his karmic debt, and so maybe that's what it is. But I think what's harmful about us that's watching these celebrities go through this and watching people applying this pressure on black men or women or people in general is that, like, it's not just men, it's not just women that are dealing with suicidal ideation. Like, I don't know if I can say that on Twitch or Twitter or YouTube, but it's a real thing. And we have to talk about mental health, and we have to be open, and all this, like, sensing what we say and what can be aired in the media. But the media can broadcast and air, really gruesome and traumatic things that are happening in life and in the world. And we can see that live and direct in 4, 5, 8, 10, 12K on our social media platforms without consent. But you want to censor the words that we use to talk about the real things that are harming our communities, and our black and brown communities are the ones that are always and continuously being at the bottom of the totem pole of being supported in those mental health crises that we are continuously being experiencing in this life. And so, it is Clay and Meg, but that's just an example. That's just a bullet point of the bigger conversation that is plaguing this community, our community. And I say this community, I'm talking about black and brown people as a whole, like people of color as a whole, like people in general as a whole. Like, we are truly, under this simulation, this oppressive ass simulation and system that is designed to be divisive right? Designed to be divisive if it sways too much in a way that is against it. You know, if the current is too much against the system, you know, it becomes divisive and then split. And how do we, as, you know, in our little worlds, in the work that we do, in our path, in our journey individually, what are we doing to show up that contributes to that simulation? That contributes to changing that simulation, because it's a frequency, it's an energy, and if we can all get aligned on a certain pathway, we can shift this. But that's too much, that's too deep, and I don't want to go too far because way over your head, and maybe one day we will, but like those that understand know, like the power and the collective power that we have energetically and that radiates from our heartstrings has the power to change the dynamic of what the world is experiencing, right? Like right now, and also what you're going through in the, and I don't mean to keep going long-winded. I just feel this right now to say out loud, and for anybody that's watching this, like truly save yourself and whatever that means to you, because of everything that's happening and everyone that's watching us, and us meaning not this podcast, but y'all out there, everybody that's watching you, everybody that got an opinion about you, everybody that wants to take you out of the programming. Like, you're important, and choose yourself, figure out how to save yourself. You know, we become dependent on people or tribes or communities that are supposed to help us or save us or whatever, but the reality is that we have to learn how to save ourselves, you know, and being a student of this life thing and of myself, and continuing to learn who I am and what soothes me, comforts me, allows me to align and be grounded. You know, it's hard to do that independently in this world that we live in, that forces you into a direction. For those of you out there that are feeling that in this moment, today, in the world, yesterday, a year from now, stay grounded in who you are. Trust your own path and your own light in the ways that you're supposed to move. Contrary to anybody's opinion, contrary to anything that the system has to say, contrary to anything your family has to say. If you feel passionate about something, push that passion forward. If you feel inclined to say something, say that, you know, and stand true in that. And, you know, I don't apologize for being long-winded, but I appreciate the space, Jonathan, for allowing me to say that, and for y'all that are watching, because we have to start at the basic level of like love and compassion and empathy. I say again, and like truly understanding what we need and meeting people where they're at.
Word. Of course, I'll give you the space to say that. A couple things. One, the fact that Tory was assaulted in jail and almost unalived is a big part of the reason why I'm an abolitionist. Because regardless of whether he was innocent or guilty, that should not have happened.
Fact.
We shouldn't be sending people to an environment to be harmed, regardless of what we believe they did, or don't believe they did, or prove they did, or didn't prove they did. And as far as to his guilt or innocence, we know that the legal system is super flawed, particularly when it comes to black and brown people, particularly when it comes to black and brown men. Sometimes with no evidence, people have been given life sentences to go to prison, which is specifically designed to be hell on earth, right? And so let's not lose that part of the discussion. Something that you said about the broader societal pressures that we're all under is really, really important. And, you know, we have to understand that, like, these pressures exist for all of us. They're in the air. It's part of what we breathe, right? And I think that a big part of saving yourself is understanding yourself, understanding how to love yourself, understanding how to identify the people that are for you, right? A lot of us came up in places and times where acceptance was survival. And I think that that psychology exists and continues to exist throughout our life. We're always looking for a group to be a part of, like you said, looking for a tribe, looking for a community. And those things are super important to our survival. But I think that you have to have some discernment. You have to have some internal guidance. You have to have some intuition to understand that just because someone is willing to be around you, just because someone is willing to have you be around them, doesn't mean that they always have your best interests at heart. Particularly, we're talking about this was a group of people who chose to hang out together. And by all accounts, were having a great time. They were friends, musical collaborators, right? They were tribe by some definition. And by the end of the night, one of them was injured and one of them was set on a path to be sent to prison to then also be injured, right? And it's like, how do we find that way to be grounded in ourselves and to have enough love for ourselves that there's love to spare, to give over to other people, to radiate love, right? Because we end up being so suspicious of each other, which is why this gender war thing really, really bugs me. We end up being so suspicious of each other based on past experiences, but not just based on past experiences. Based on this environment that's created where you're supposed to expect bad things from people. I see we got a comment. What does this comment say?
Shout out to my guy Lamar in the chat. He says, you're right. He knows me before. Yeah. He knows me personally, so disregard that name. But he said, you're right. Save yourself. The majority of people are not going to get saved by someone else.
No, that's
the thing is like, and I don't mean to be like I know that sounds harsh, right? When somebody's like, yo, save yourself. And that's not
there's such a deep meaning to what you're saying.
Yeah, like it's not like, yo, save yourself, like, you know, if you're drowning and I can take you out if I have the tools to offer you, then I'm going to deprive you of those resources. No, that's not what I'm saying at all, you know? But it is saying that regardless, anybody, and I had to learn this the hard way, anything that someone offers you is an addition, right? It is added to.
Right.
Right? It isn't supposed to be primary.
Yeah.
It is a blessing if it is primary. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's people that, like, you should, somebody said to me the other day, Phree, like, I want whatever I can do along your journey outside of our professional environment or hats as your friend. I want to pay it forward because somebody did that for me.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to offer that to you. And I don't know how to offer that to you or what you might need. Goes back to our last conversation about,
right, yeah.
How do you show love or give love? Is love, always giving, or is love sometimes asking, right? Asking the questions.
Right.
Right. And so how do we, I don't know how I got there about paying it forward, but
I mean,
I think the point all in all of this particular topic, that's bigger than Clay and Meg, and like the foundation that we need in community, and discernment, right? You mentioned discernment and understanding who's who, what is what, doing our own personal inventory. This was in response to Lamar about the saving yourself versus people saving you. Once we become codependent on trying to find someone to save us, right? Then when people come to save us, it could also be enabling, right? Because then how do you learn? How do you do it yourself? In this, I'm trying to like stop myself from going in certain directions because we here for a good time, not a long time. And I want us to get to the things, but this is crucial and important.
It is.
Because this world that we living in, and so many people out here being hurt by the system, by personal relationships, by their jobs, by their mental health, by their own stuff, right? Their own dark cloud or their whatever. With passion, with compassion and consideration and love, it offers a softer blow. You know, like when people offer you grace and people offer you, you know, unconditional love, it's not to save you, right? But it becomes a saving sometimes when you can have a blanket or a cushion or a pillow when you're down on your knees. Pause. When you are feeling low to the ground and, you know, it just helps sometimes. You know, on a basic level, it doesn't cost you anything. It's not about what you can buy me or buy somebody or,
right.
you know, money thing. It's a human, like, basic decency, right? To, like, value or respect someone, even if it's not love. I think I can love a stranger. But if you're not that person, to respect someone on the most basic level without judgment, right? Without, you know, you know.
I think that there's a lot of elements that go into.
Can I just land the plane real quick?
Yeah,
I know I paused, right? But like, give me a second to sort it out. I'm gonna land the plane. If we can be more gentle and have softer hands, right? Maybe sometimes wear kid gloves with adults. Then I think that we could learn how to love each other under that consideration and tenderness and gentleness, right? And I know that that's hard to do sometimes, but like, yeah. Anyways, I love y'all. I'm feeling a lot of ways, as y'all could tell, and I have a lot to say, and I just feel a lot in terms of compassion for a lot of people right now that are going through it personally that I know, and just for the energy of the, you know, the collective frequency, you know, of everyone around everywhere I walk. And I ain't got to know you to feel you either, you know. And what are we using our platforms for? Is it to go down the list of bullet points that are on the whiteboard that we started with? Or is it these moments where, I don't know, we feel called or we stray into or get lost in a particular topic that I think is important for now, for right now. There's an emergency. You know, when we talk about mental health, I see that as an emergency, crises, you know, and how do we use our platforms and our spaces and our voices to reach other people, to connect to other people, to tell people that we need help, to tell people, let's collab, let's unify, let's get together, let's band together. There is no one of us that are bigger than the program. And if we care and we consider and we give a crap about our young people, and if we are out here really believing in a better way, then what are we doing to contribute to the better way? And if you feel that you haven't done enough or you could do enough, then how do we do that? And it's not a solo mission. I'm going to say that again. It's not a solo mission. Your journey is a solo mission for sure. And everybody has their own. But in terms of this bigger program, the mission is not solo. We have to do this together, right? We have to. Should I see y'all in the chat? Shout out to y'all in the chat. Lamar says, I had lost myself counting on others to take the lead. Love you, Echo. I see you in the chat. Shout out to everybody on Twitch. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. I love y'all. I do. And I'm going to continue to say that because you have space here. You know, whatever, how small, how big, how loud, how quiet, whatever, however you see the Free Game Podcast, if you find value in this space and this space makes you feel like you can be heard, seen, have a voice, whatever, like, come here, be a part of this family, be a part of this tribe. You know, it ain't about the numbers. It ain't about, you know, the money, the monetizing. It ain't about that. You know, the Free Game Podcast is not about branding myself. Like, it's not about pushing an image. You know what I'm saying? It's really about how can I use my power, my path, my journey to connect us all, you know, because I'm not perfect and I'll never be perfect. And I need people just the same way I know y'all need people too. So yeah, that's my take. We on live. Listen, Tommy said you can't cry on a video camera.
You can cry on a video camera.
Tommy Lee said you're not supposed to cry on TV.
This not TV. This real life right now.
But I love y'all, and we gotta go. We had so much to talk about, but we gotta land a plane. I love y'all in the chat.
It's alright. It's all good. It's all good.
I love y'all in the chat. And yeah, we need each other, man. And I got space for you. Just like y'all are holding space for me right now. I appreciate you. I love you. We gonna get through this. You feel me? Cause gang, you feel me? We gonna get through this. We gonna get through this. And these tears ain't about sadness, right? This is about just the love that I have for y'all, for us as a people. You know, it's such a looked at as a bad thing to like love each other, to like, you know, be close to each other, to hold each other. Like, people be so afraid to do that. And like, man, we got to be more vulnerable. And I know it's scary and it's hard, but vulnerability is going to save us. It's going to save you. You're going to save yourself. I promise. I love y'all. This is the Free Game Podcast. We're going to be here on Tuesday. Well, we're not in the studio Tuesday because we did today in the studio.
But we'll be live on Tuesday.
But we will be live on Twitch and YouTube some way, somehow. We might have a few more moments. I can read some comments in the chat.
Yeah, let's get it.
Spiritual support, yes. I love you too. Thank you. Big shout out to S. De Silva in the chat. If you can feel it, you can speak it. I love you, Lamar. Thank you. God's love is in all of us, yo. For real. If we could just listen long enough to embrace it, to learn from it, to treat it as a guide, you know, it really is in all of us. And I
think one of the things about being able to really connect with people is you got to remember that it's more important to be open than to be right. Yeah,
that part. That part. We be so afraid to be wrong because, you know, this world's so punitive. Everybody is
it really is, though.
You know, discipline and, you know, like destruction. Discipline and destruction.
You say the wrong thing. You wear the wrong thing. You look at somebody the wrong way. And it's like, oh, here come the consequences. And it's like, listen, bro, like you can be vulnerable. You can be open. It really is going to be okay. It's going to be better for you in the long run. And if your openness makes people scared, if your openness chases people away, those are not the people that you needed around you anyway.
They not your people. If you can't show up authentically as yourself, with someone, then that's not your person, that's not your people, that's not your family, that's not your, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
I know you said at one of these podcasts recently, the blood and thicker than water conversation.
Yeah, we were just talking
you know
about
what
that.
I'm saying? Make me sweat, make me harder, make me lose my breath, make me water. You know what I'm saying?
Now you want to send Tyler a check. I
Yes,
see.
yo, oh dang, some production,
Yo,
production,
that.
edit
Yo,
that, clip that. Listen, I mean, hold on, time out, pause the tape.
Wait, whoa. We ain't got Tyler money. Listen.
Nah, y'all gotta see my little 4-year-old baby sing that song. It is the cutest thing in the world. No bull. But for real, like, just that's it. That's all I got. I be long with it in the mug.
Nah, you had
for real.
to,
And y'all just see me. Yeah,
you had to say what you had to say. You had to get that out. That was so important. And thank you for sharing that. And I know that the people that are watching felt that too. Like, that was one of the realest moments that I've had all week, to be honest. And like, that's very courageous of you to open up in that way, because people really don't cry on TV unless they're faking the funk, unless they're performing something. And like, I'm just saying, yo, like that openness is how you get healed. That openness is how you find your tribe. That openness is how you build up the empathy to understand what other people are going through and to truly connect with them. Like, I'll say it all day, like, connection is the most important thing. Connection is the most important thing. First, connect to yourself, and with that understanding, find other people to connect to authentically, and it will change your whole life.
Yeah.
And shift that energy that Phree was talking about earlier, because the more we can connect, the more we can move this in a direction that is towards where we're supposed to be, and not this direction that we're going in that wants to separate us. There's a reason why they don't want us to connect. There's a reason why they want us separated.
Because we more powerful together.
So much more powerful together and undefeatable together.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, we do got to get out of here. But I want to say shout out to the If You Can Feel It, You Can Speak It open mic. Shout out to Womex A Color Weekend.
Let's go.
We had a collaboration open mic and mixer last night, and just to be aligned on the same frequency as this conversation, you know, I'm super proud of those that come to the mic that's never touched the mic before, that is extremely, anxious or afraid to kind of like be vulnerable, and they find safety, or they find comfort in being able to be vulnerable in the space at Fireside. And I really, really love that about the space. I understand I might think I'm biased because I've been here gang 16 years.
Hey.
But there's a reason why something had worked for 16 years. And I think I continue to see it play out. And I love y'all. Shout out to everybody that came out last night. Esther Silva's in the chat. She got on the mic for the first time in the space, which is really dope. And spoke about grieving and like how important that is to even name out loud, because there's so many people in the world grieving. And it's not just grieving like, a loss or a transition, but we don't even think about how we grieve, friendships that are breakups, or, losing our pet, right? Or like losing something that has sentimental value to you,
Right.
And so, again, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Find the pockets of the world that comfort you, that make you feel seen, that listen to you, that want to listen to you, and that are willing to do the work to keep you. I love you. This is the Free Game Podcast. Catch us on Tuesday, May 5th, 5-5. Catch us on 5-5.
Cinco de Mayo up in here. Let's go.
All right. I love y'all. I see y'all. We didn't make it to an hour on Twitch. I apologize, Twitch world. But we will be back with more. I love you. Peace.